I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. By popular demand, let me touch again on the drastically increased insurance rates that Stratas have been facing, as well as individual owner policies. Now, if you've been a watcher of my blog here for the last 2 or 3 years, this is kind of old news. I've been talking about this for at least the past couple of years, as you guys know. 2 years ago, I started telling people that my individual policies, both on my principal residence as well as my investment properties, had been taking double-digit increases. And I would say over the last 3 years, my individual policies have gone up about 35% in the past 3 years. They've gone up 10, 12, 15% a year for the past 3 years. And the majority of that increase is because of the water portion of my insurance policies. But, I told people back then, on an individual policy, an investment policy I hold, and I have had all my insurance for the last 30 years, I've been with the cooperators. That's the company I've dealt with. I've got a good relationship with them. My typical one-bedroom downtown Vancouver investment unit, one bed, has gone from about $275 annually to maybe $345, $350. So, it's not going to break the bank. Over the last 3 years, the annual premium has gone up maybe $50 to $75, mostly because of water. On my principal residence, I'm looking at probably about another $100 or $125 annually on my policy over the last couple of years, mostly again due to water, the water portion of the insurance. When it comes to my investment units, of course, though, that extra $75 a year, it's a tax deduction, and your insurance premiums are all deductible on a investment property. But it's been in the news here now. Of course, as I was telling you guys years ago, you're going to start to see the premiums going up on the insurances, on the Strata's insurance policy, which has started over the last couple of years. And, there's some outliers out there for sure that has been in the news where they're seeing 200, 300% increases in their Strata policies. But, most of these, from what I can tell, and we'll get some conversation going here in my comment section, most of these buildings appear to be outliers. I have not come across, I don't own any of these buildings that have had that type of increase. All the Stratas I own in Vancouver and Richmond, the policies, as I say, are pretty manageable. We're talking, I've had increases, monthly Strata fee increases over the last few years, average about $7 or $8 more a month, sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more. My principal residence last year went up $8 a month, but some of that would have been due to insurance, but a lot of it is due to caretaker, running the swimming pool, the concierge, and everything else. Maybe $2 or $3 of that might be related to the insurance. But in the news here, they had, and the media loves to play up on this, they always do, it makes good headlines, and trying to create some fear here that, insurance rates are going up 200-300% and it's the norm. And it's not. I follow probably 30 or 40 Stratas in downtown Vancouver fairly closely, plus all the Stratas I own. And I'm not seeing anywhere near those. But then again, I only own good quality, I'm only in good quality Stratas. I do my due diligence buying in, what kind of management it is, who's the property manager, what the insurance looks like. You can't avoid it completely. Things are going to happen. But for the most part, my insurance on my Stratas has gone up, but nowhere near 200 or 300%. We're talking 10, 15% annualized increases, which is spread out over 100 or 150 owners. So it's been negligible for the most part. But you saw these ones in the news that have gone up 200 or 300%. I had several people on my YouTube blog here that I've been corresponding back and forth with in the comment section. One guy told me, and he sent me an email saying that his Strata insurance, this was out in Langley, went up 250%. And when they showed up at the AGM, the Strata property manager and the Strata council said, hey, this is what everybody's paying. This is based on just the insurance premiums going up. Everyone's paying these. And that was just a blatant lie. It's not true. I asked him, has your Strata had claims? And as it turns out, he's had not one, but 2 fires in this Strata. And if you have fires where the fire department has to come out and put a hose on it, you're also getting extensive water damage as well. The ones that I've seen in the news and some of these outliers, they all had a lot of claims. That's what's driven these rates that go up 200 or 300%. Eventually, the insurance company says, we're done with you. When the policy expires, we're dropping you and we're not going to renew. Now you're in trouble. Now you've got to go scramble, try and get a new insurer. Based on the claims, they're going to jack the rates up. That's just the way it goes. You know, I've done many blogs. I did one just last year on my personal strata in the building I live in, my principal residence here in the West End. And, you know, stratas are all over the road. Property managers are all over the road. When you're buying a condo, remember, it's not just about location and building and amenities and square footage. Remember, you're buying into a strata corporation. You're now going to be a shareholder in this company. And you should do your due diligence on this. What is the makeup of owners? Is it mostly owner-occupied, or does it have 90% of the units tenanted? You know, what is the makeup of the strata council? Is it mostly absentee investors, or is it mostly owner-occupied, and are they proactive, and do they look at, you know, take care of the building, and are they proactive as far as the insurance rates goes? I did a blog last year about how a year ago our insurance policy got a $40,000 increase on our policy, pretty substantial. But rather than just bend over and take it, I've got a pretty proactive strata council in my building, and we've got a very good property manager. We've fired a couple of property managers over the years, which a lot of good stratas do. These strata managers and companies come and go. You got to find the right one and find a good property manager who's going to work with your strata council. But rather than just accept that $40,000 increase, our strata council with the property manager went and tendered it out and got some other quotes from other companies. And as it turns out, we ended up getting a policy for the same price we were paying before this $40,000 increase, and a better policy with another company. So keep that in mind. Your strata council, if they're working for you and you've got a good council and a good property manager, should be shopping these around. If you get an increase and you haven't had a lot of claims, then shop it around. There was the story on the one that was all in the news. I think it was out in Langley or Abbotsford, I think, that had a 300% increase. And, you know, as you dig a little deeper, they had some claims in there apparently. But the other story, the follow-up, which they didn't really report on, that I read in the newspaper later, is they shopped it around and they still had a pretty big increase. It was about 100%, but far better than the 300% increase that their original insurance company tried to hit them with. But, you know, do your due diligence when you're buying. You know, strata fees will go up every year. On average, as I say, the one-bedroom condos I have been going up $8, $9, $10 a month, the monthly strata fee. Of that, maybe $3 or4 is due to the increased insurance policies. But so from the stratas I follow and the ones I own, you know, I'm not seeing these 100 or 200% increases, but they are out there. And generally, again, as I say, they're usually, if you dig a little deeper, it's because they've had a lot of claims. All the policies I have in Vancouver and Richmond, I got a lot of them. My water deductibles are between $25,000 and $50,000. Most of the deductibles in my strata are $25,000, which is on the low side. I had 2 sales so far this month. Both those stratas, downtown Vancouver, had $25,000 deductibles, so pretty low. But you guys can comment on my YouTube blog here. I mean, I've seen many that are up at $100,000, $150,000. I've heard rumors of a few stratas that have had a lot of issues that have a water deductible at $200,000. Maybe you guys could post some of the deductibles you have on your stratas. But all mine are between $25,000 and $50,000. But then again, I'm in good, well-run, proactive stratas. That's all I buy, and that's all that I get my clients into. You know, there's a ton of stratas downtown. I often talk about it. They're dogs. You know, in Richmond's got a bunch of them too that are poorly managed, poorly run. Strata council is a joke. They're not proactive at all. It's mostly made up of investors. They don't care. If they give you a $50,000 increase on the insurance, they bend over and take it. You don't want to be in those stratas. Listen, you're never going to avoid issues though. You can buy into the best strata and do all your due diligence you want, and nothing's going to stop it from maybe a massive flood coming from one of the units and having some claims. But you can definitely mitigate your risk by doing your homework going in. And I'm fortunate with the stratas I buy in, especially my principal residence. I'm in kind of a little bit more well-heeled strata. A lot of the demographic in my building is generally a little older. I've got some retired folks in my strata. That many of them are on council. They're retired, they've got time. They're retired accountants, doctors, entrepreneurs, and they volunteer for Strata, and that's fantastic. Every time I see them, I thank them for their good work. They're proactive, they get quotes when the boiler goes, or they need landscaping work done, or the pool needs servicing. They don't just take the first quote, and they do that with the insurance as well. Those are always the best. The ones where the strata is more proactive, you've got owners in there. My building is, in my entire building, 100 units. I think we've only got 7 rented units, so it's mostly owner occupied. Nothing wrong though with buildings that are maybe 50% tenanted and 50% owner occupied. Those can be fantastic too, but a lot of times, the strata is all over the road, the strata council. Get into the buildings where they're a little bit more proactive, or at least try. You can only do so much. Things happen. But, it seems like the ones that are in the media here, from what I can make out, based on the stratas I follow and the stratas I own, I'm not seeing these 100 or 200% increases. They're out there, they're in the news, but they are outliers. And I've heard people say, these insurance premiums going up, this is going to cause the real estate, the market, to plummet. This is going to have a huge impact on prices. And I think you're over embellishing that. I haven't seen it, not to say that it's not happening again in some stratas. There's definitely going to be some stratas that have had a lot of issues, fires, water damage, and have made many claims, and their insurance premiums are going through the roof. They're going to have to raise their strata fees dramatically. They might even have to levy owners to make up the difference. That will probably have an effect on their prices. Not huge, but some. But overall, I don't think it's going to have a big difference. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm monitoring it. But again, with my stratas, on my individual policies, we're talking over the last couple of years, maybe another $50 annual increase, which I just pass on to my tenants. Or sorry, it's a write-off, and eventually I'll pass on to my tenants in rent. On my principal residence here, in the last couple of years, I've seen maybe $125 annual increase to my policy. So it sucks. Hate to pay it, but it's not breaking the bank, and I'm not too concerned with it. But I'd welcome your comments on my blog here on what you're seeing with your strata fees, where your deductibles are at. I think the apparently, according to the articles I read, part of this increase is due to the fact that there's been a couple of major players, insurers, that have gotten out of the Lower Mainland market. Obviously for claims, they just don't think it's profitable enough for them, and they've moved on. So it's left not nearly as much competition with the players that are still left, and those rates are going up. But again, if you get a big increase to your strata insurance, shop it around. Get your property manager, get the council on it, and tender some other policies, because there's still plenty of insurance companies out there that are insuring these stratas. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.